The fate of Arendor is decided here and now, by us and by our characters.
The Accords of Scarenthal have begun. Representatives from each of the kingdoms meet to discuss the renewal of the pact that once united them all, and could again.
But in the midst of negotiations, the pact scroll is stolen. And without it, all hope for forging a new alliance between the kingdoms crumbles.
These unfortunate circumstances bring our characters together. And as unlikely allies, it's up to us to tie together the strings of fate, for better or worse.
Welcome back to Tabling the Narrative, our podcast where we take a look at stories and have some in-depth discussions about some of the best parts of those stories. Sponsored by World Anvil. We're your hosts. I'm Jen.
And I'm Sage. And today we are taking a look at the first session of our Daggerheart campaign, Oathfyre. We have a few guests from the cast and, of course, are welcoming back our GM, Ghost.
Stay tuned to learn how Oathfyre began, and it was a fairly intense beginning, I'm just saying. It left us wondering what it all means, not only for our characters, but the entire world of Arendor.
So first, let's take a look at some of the best moments during the first session. Now, in this new segment, Cast Lights, we asked the cast what their favorite moments were and share our own thoughts. So from our castmate Zira and from myself as well, one of our favorite moments was the Emperor of Scarenthal, well, the Emperor of Drakarn's body being discovered in his quarters.
Would Halim like to add anything?
And this tanned man face plants into one of the big cushions.
I'm going to spend a fear.
No.
And as you face plant into the cushion, you lift your face and you find there's blood.
Ooh.
Perfect. So as you look around the room, you get this sense of something is there with you. And you see these figures trying to stay out of you. They notice you notice them, and they emerge. Describe to me the murder scene of the Emperor.
No! Okay.
I didn't like him anyway.
So... This is so bad. There is blood everywhere. It's stuck to the shimmering little panels that you can walk through. It's stuck to the floor. It's on the ceiling. There is blood absolutely everywhere. Directly above where Halim ended up face planting into the pillows, there is blood dripping down from the ceiling. And this is actually where the Emperor is. He is on his back, kind of on the ceiling with his arms like dangling down. He's just kind of pinned there, stuck there, not by anything visible. And there's just blood coming from his body. There's so much blood that you can't even tell how or what he was murdered by. Pretty intense scene to start off as a favorite.
As like a side note with that, right? Halim falling on, right, the pillow with the blood on it. I'm sitting here like, oh, well, with the way Halim is and baths, he probably doesn't really care that much. He's like, oh, it's more of nature, you know? Like, I don't know how he feels about blood on him because he's fine with everything else on him. But I'm pretty sure whenever you were just briefly describing it, then I made the exact same face that I made during the session. Because there was one point when you were talking about the way that it was like dripping, and I think you mentioned something about like the sinew and like tendons or something. I don't know what it was.
It was bad. It was so bad.
It was something.
Yeah, what a grotesque scene to be a favorite, but it was so fun for me to describe. Ghost was like, what do you see? And I was like, okay, we're about to find out.
Sage the author came out and for us. So there were two people that really liked that scene, so obviously we had to start with it, but we're gonna move right along to the next one, which is when Geen and Shurian they had this bonding moment.
Prince Shirin, the council has spoken to one another, and we've decided to not support your claim to the crown of Corvallis. Furthermore, Captain Bugman, we have decided also to not support your claim for legitimacy for the Varicose Isles. As you know, this area has been contested for a very long time between the Rakarn and Corvallis. Sharon and Dean, you can choose to either do a two-person group action roll or do a presence roll individually. Standing.
Yeah, let's do this, buddy. Let's see what we get here. All right, I rolled a 21. No, sorry, it's another 2. So 22
Okay.
with fear.
Okay.
All right. I rolled a 23 with fear.
Nice.
Okay. So I get some fear. You both are successful. Describe to me how you are together arguing your legitimate claims to the throne.
My primary argument is that there is no other representative from Corvallis. If there's anyone else, that means Corvallis is not represented. And I would also say that I would support the claim of Captain King. What's your title? Bugman?
Geen Bugman.
Geen Bugman Extraordinaire, Esquire, that he also deserves a seat. And if he's not allowed, then we're not actually truly a council that represents the interests of the entire world if we don't allow him here.
And how does Geen come to his aid in that?
I will kick my chair and flip off my jacket with all 4 arms. And I point to my new brother in arms, the young prince, and I say, he is young, healthy, and has vigor of his people. Yet his claim is of bastard. Yet the only bastard I have heard of is his cousin who is not here. My claim is legitimate, for in my title I am the voice of the free nation of Varkos. The isles and the oceans are mine to speak for.
Now, I'm pretty sure that Zira was talking about specifically in the chambers when the Accords were happening. But I did want to point out there was a little moment before that when they first met where Shurian wasn't sure how to feel about Geen and all that kind of stuff. And he was new to like this kind of soiree, as it were. So he was kind of skeptical, but also at the same time, he was offering him help. He was like, hey, you might need a guide. That shift in Shurian was important to the camaraderie that, Zira saw later on in the chambers of the Accords happening. at the round table. And basically both of them were told, hey, you know what? You don't stake a claim in this. You don't have a right to be here. And they both fought for each other.
This was a super cool moment, I think. It was great to see just kind of like an immediate connection between two leaders of two completely different opposite ways of life just kind of come together. It makes me think that we as Team One are definitely going to have a very interesting dynamic coming up.
Hey, you're not wrong.
This kind of leads us to one of my favorite moments, kind of running into one of Jen's favorite moments, believe it or not. Oh, what a surprise.
Who'd have thunk it?
Wow. No, so this moment is when Kale, who is the high provost of the Collegium, which I believe in Scarenthal, Kale kind of enters and throws this scroll, which most likely, I mean, not like officially confirmed, but is like, in my opinion, definitely the scroll of Kaldrathar, the Pact Scroll. And so Kale just kind of like shoves this into Meadowlark's arms and kind of forces them and just is encouraging them, like, get the fuck out. Like, excuse me. It's just... This leads into one of Jen's favorite moments, which is when Meadowlark in response is like, I'm not here for that. I'm here to get like some teaching, some education, to have this meeting with you. Meanwhile, Kale is like, we have to get this into the right hands. They're after, please come, you have to leave the window. And Meadowlark is standing there like, okay, but you still owe me a meeting. And before hopping out of the window, turning into a literal bear cat, and then of course gaining a rider, which is Christie's character, Reyna.
She's going to walk up to the door and slide the lock shut. All right. I'm glad that you made it here, but you must get word out of Scarenthal. Do not trust the Gilded Saints with this, okay? I know they're your people. I was only going to speak with Benjen about this. He was the one who was going to get this into the hands of the right people. I don't know who, I don't know where, but the Emperor, somebody in the Imperium, they hope to twist the magic of this. Can you take this someplace safe?
I'm Meadowlark Falling. I had
I'm going to spend a fear. Pounding on the door that she is locked. Oh no. I thought there would be more time. I thought they must have noticed me out of the courts. Here, take this. She shoves this package into your hands. Out the window, quick.
Well, this is going to be fun. Someone owes me a conversation about ley lines at some point, though. Okay, anyway. Since this meeting is not going to be productive, you owe me a favor once this is done.
Oh, there's no... Gonna spend another fear. As the door splinters... shatters. Imperial marshals come barging into the office. She's like, please run. And she's going to start to try to hold them back as she's urging you to go out the window.
I'm going to go out the window. This wouldn't be the first time.
Come out the window.
What you actually see, I'm going to spend a stress on the way out. And what you see is something that you might be familiar with at this point, but a bear cat come out the window.
Yeah, really interesting scene there.
Having something shoved into them, people banging on the door saying, you need to leave, don't trust these people. I would have left immediately. Like, I would not have been like, hey, like, you owe me, like, a meeting. Of course, this person's probably about to be imprisoned or executed. So obviously, like, Zira's character's probably not, Meadowlark's not going to be getting a meeting.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. It was a very interesting scene.
On to our last cast light. It happens to be Christian's favorite moment. I see you, Christian. You better be watching this. His favorite moment is with the interaction with Star. Star is the twin sister of someone who died in the Shattering. But yeah, it happened to be Storm, which is my character that Ghost used to make it emotional at the beginning of The Shattered God.
Listen, Bug, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a brief description of your character and then rolling a performance check for me.
Absolutely. You see standing there with a lute in her hands, a tabaxi of black fur with white accents, big ears with white tufts coming out of them.
All right, so as you walk into the bar, you see that everyone's just having this... Everyone's like pounding on tables. You see Stars just plucking away, doing her la 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 la. You know, now, while this is happening, Star again commanding, having a commanding presence over this tavern. You also see, you can't help but notice, near a cobblestone fireplace in the center of the room. Can you describe your character and what you picture her doing right now?
Well, she looks very similar to her sister.
Its next arm comes up and comes slamming down. And a second before it strikes, you think you can hear the name. Star? This comes down upon the Qatari warrior. Again, crumbling rock and crystal and dust in the air. This monstrous, shadowy dragon head reaches it up.
As you drop gold into the tankard, you see she gives you another smile. She's like, listen, it's nothing personal. It's 20-year anniversary of the Shattering. We all lost people. I lost my sister. But we got to push on.
Dark look crosses over my face. Yes, you're right. But leaves fall, leaves grow. There's new life. I know that doesn't replace those who've been lost, but no.
And not all that lost can come back to us, so.
You're in a unique station with your songs. They can still live on through you.
Oh, she was my twin sister. So I see her every time I look in at my reflection. She was the best of us. Some would say.
And I'm sure she'd say the same about you, friend.
Yeah. Well, it's early in the morning for all this, isn't it? Go, enjoy yourself. I got a job to do. The name's Star, by the way.
Oh my god, we're gonna be best friends. Oh my gosh, my name's Dipper. Hello.
But the reason why Christian really liked this, okay, it wasn't because it was devastating to me. The main part of this interaction with Star was the fact that you got to know Dipper. You got to know what he's about. He really wants to help people, make them smile, make them feel better. He doesn't like people that are somber, wants them, just be a light, right? He wants to be helpful to as many people as he can. And how he's just always optimistic, right? And no matter what he's faced with, he tries to find the silver lining.
Yeah, stay tuned for our upcoming Under the Table segment with Ghost for a little bit more detail on Star.
Well, anyways, those were some really great moments with the cast of Oathfyre.
Yeah, seriously, there were a lot of other cool moments, though, too, throughout the very first session of Oathfyre.
Yes, there were. And we get to pick a couple of them to delve into during another new segment, Scene Study, where Sage and I pick a couple of key moments in the story and talk about what that moment truly means for the characters as well as the story.
Yeah, so coming up first, kind of just touching upon that castlight of Meadowlark in Kale's office at the Collegium. We have Kale, who is the High Provost or the Overseer of the Collegium. And Meadowlark, who is a cartographer, has come to Scarenthal in order to have a meeting. I wouldn't say this goes exactly how anybody thought it would go.
Yeah, definitely not.
Kale comes bursting in, just shoves this scroll into Meadowlark's hands, which isn't confirmed. Meadowlark probably has no idea what this scroll actually is, but at this point in time, the Scroll of Kaudrathar, which is the Pact Scroll, has been stolen from behind the wards and where it's kind of locked up in a vault over back in the upper district near the council chambers. So very shortly after this scroll was stolen, we have Kale coming in, shoving this scroll, probably the scroll that we're talking about here, into Meadowlark's hands. Yeah.
I'm fairly certain that it is the scroll as well, especially if you think back to when Geen and Shurian and Halim were being, they're being escorted to the Emperor's chambers for dinner. I'm pretty sure it was mentioned that they have a feeling they know who it is. It is one of their own, and they're going after them right now to try to get the scroll back and apprehend them. So with the two sides of the story that we see, one from Team 1 and one from Team 2, I think it's fairly certain that it is that scroll.
I think you're right. I had actually forgotten that the Archmage, while he's leading Halim, Shurian, and Geen into the Emperor's quarters, he's like, yeah, the Emperor is tied up with the Master of Arms, gives a little bit of information and is like, yeah. Anyway, I think what's really interesting to me in this scene, other than like the whole craziness with Meadowlark and just in general, this like very staple scene of session 1, is the information that Kale gives to Meadowlark in passing. So I take a lot of notes. A lot of notes every session. So if you ever see me in session and I'm just like typing away, so Kale gives some very interesting information. First of all, as we'll touch on a little bit later in Ghosts Under the Table segment, Kale was apparently supposed to pass off this scroll to a human bard named Benjen. We'll get into that a little bit later in that segment. Kale also gives a bit of information, says, do not trust the Gilded Saints. Definitely is talking about you have to get word to Scarenthal. Benjen was going to get this scroll into the right hands to someone in the Imperium, and quote, they hope to twist the magic of this. So there's a lot of very valuable kind of tidbits of information there, which is really why this is included in our scene study here.
Mm-hmm. That is true. Hoping to twist the magic of this, that really gets me thinking about what in the world would they twist the magic for, right? Because the whole ideal with this scroll is that it has power over the world and like the world leaders, and making sure that they're keeping this peace, right? So that is how strong the scroll magic is. And to twist that, what in the world could they do to that? You know what I mean? Like they could wreak a lot of havoc with something that can have that large scale of power.
This is also like, I think that it's kind of wild. I think it's kind of crazy. I don't know. It's interesting to me that they have a contact in the Imperium of Scarenthal, which is kind of related to what's going on with the actual Accords. And there's also a mention here of the Gilded Saints. So if you go up to groupactionroll.com, you will see a map there that has a little bit of information on who the Gilded Saints are. So the Gilded Saints are actually a transnational thieves guild, kind of hiding behind their own piety. They can be found in markets, in ports, even in noble districts, and their reputation is of sometimes folk heroes, sometimes criminals. It really depends upon the individual perspective. Their methods of their methods in general are, favors and blackmail and even like surgical theft and things like that. So the main note here on groupactionroll.com is that splendor is broken, so the world's wealth is fair game. We have yet to see how the Gilded Saints, what their presence is like in Scarenthal, but I'm really interested to see how that story develops and progresses, because the Gilded Saints are something we have yet to encounter in Oathfyre, and I'm really curious how they really kind of play into all of this.
Yeah, same here. And it also has me curious because, we don't know this in Team 1. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
We don't know that we shouldn't be trusting the Gilded Saints, right? So, I have a feeling maybe that Ghost might be like, hey, let's let Team 1 encounter a nice Gilded Saint that they trust and help them with stuff. Right? It's gonna be awful.
Yeah.
Of course, we can't, our characters are gonna do what our characters do. My person is very not trusting of people, which if you've watched previous episodes of Tabling the Narrative, if you haven't, go watch them, you'll see. She is definitely not very trusting in general. So they'll have to prove themselves to at least my character. I don't know about everybody else. I don't even know if it's going to be obvious that it is them. It could be someone that's not even obvious that it's a Gilded Saint.
This is true. This is very true. We don't know what their presence looks like at all right now. Never met them. Especially we're talking 20 years, literally the 20th year anniversary of the Shattering. So we're talking 20 years after the Shattering. So factions are completely new, have formed since then. We as players or as the cast have no idea. So I'm excited to see, a little concerned, but
yeah, I do have one more comment that I just realized, because you had mentioned that the main notes have it where the world's wealth is fair game to these people, to the Gilded Saints. That's what they believe. So if they're after a scroll that can twist the magic within, maybe they're trying to get the world's wealth to be given to them, and some sort of we own the world, so you pay us, for, whatever.
Yeah.
Existing here. I don't know. If it can keep peace, it can make it to where tariffs or fees or whatever they're called are required to live on the world. So
hacking that magic could potentially do anything. I mean, again, we don't know. That's another mystery to unravel.
Yep.
So
sorry, I just saw that link there that I didn't see before, and I was like, I just want to see it. Just in case. Just in case.
Right. Let's put it on the table.
Yeah.
We have another scene to study, just to give a little bit of information. So in the very beginning of Oathfyre Session 1, in the cold open, this actually includes both Jen's and my character. Jen is playing Mist and I am playing M, and we are both in the cold open drawn into this temple of Xerix that has actually been repurposed into a temple of the Idol Inare. So I'm gonna So I have a couple of things. Before we get into this, there's something that I don't want to share more than what was put on the table here, because I know we both kind of have some secrets going on in the background, but I feel like it'll be better if you find out by watching the series. So let's just put that out there first.
Yeah. We're not sharing all the stuff we know, because we know things. Yeah.
Mist actually ends up coming and first is encountered with this very kind of an elder faun who Ghost later names Issa Thistlehorn. And yes, do you want to share a little bit about what Mist's experience was like, meeting this faun at this temple?
Yeah. Well, Mist, as it's probably very obvious, and I'm pretty sure I might have mentioned it before, is an Idolonare. That's why she went to this temple. She was told her skills would be needed, and there was, some shifty stuff happening with the Thrinkai, which the faun did say, and I don't remember how to pronounce her name. So she had done this many times before, either people having information or something like that, where she was needed. And that's kind of just how she approached it.
So I wrote this down in my notes again. Too many. I wrote down this quote. Issa Thistlehorn, this faun, actually tells Mist, quote, "You were not the one that I called for." I don't know what this means. But this was the introduction to M entering the temple. So Mist opens up the door, M kind of raps on the door, Mist opens up the door. There's this kind of meeting of eyes. We're not going to go in depth, but we will say that I feel like it's pretty clear from session 1 that Mist and M do know each other, or they do recognize each other. Then M just kind of comes in. There's some information shared here where Issa Thistlehorn tells them that she believes that the Thrinkai have touched the Emperor in some way, that they are somehow aligned. Kind of sends us on this mission or assignment to just kind of stick in the shadows, stay to the shadows, see what is kind of happening, and just watch over what's going on in the Accords.
So she also mentioned that there are powerful artifacts that are being gathered, which obviously we know is a scroll, but I'm like, artifact. So I'm like, oh, what other artifact is there? And I want to know what that is. But anyways, so the Thrinkai are moving in the shadows, but they're becoming bold. So I thought that part was interesting, because the Thrinkai, from what I know about the Thrinkai, based on the little bit of kind of research or thought that I've put into it, because, Mist is in the Idolonare, so it's kind of ingrained in her backstory. The Idolonare has increased since, the Shattering, because there's actual purpose for them now. And their purpose is to track down the beings that we call Thrinkai. And there are a few different types of Thrinkai. Different ones pose different levels of threats. And the sheer fact that they're moving the way that they're moving now means something bigger than what they've been doing in the past, which is concerning.
All right, so when you're creating a scene like either of these, where all of these little details of your world, like characters like ours, or factions like the Gilded Saints or the Idolonare, all kind of come together, staying organized is an absolute must.
Yeah, and it's helpful to have all of that information organized in the same place where it's easily accessible when you're building that scene, or an entire world like Arendor.
Which is exactly what World Anvil is great at.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because this episode of Tabling the Narrative is sponsored by WorldAnvil.com, an entire world building tool for anyone out there creating their own worlds.
Right. So World Anvil has pretty much everything you need to keep all of those little details organized and all laid out in front of you. So you can design your own maps, flesh out your own characters, and get all of your world lore put together.
So whether you're a game master, an author, or literally anything in between, World Anvil is for you.
And with our code Ghostlight, which is linked in the description, you can get 51% off any yearly membership at worldanvil.com.
Worthy to try out, if you ask me. I'm actually kind of trying it out a little bit right now, side note. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look behind the scenes of our first episode of Oathfyre, where cast and characters really come together. In this new segment, Behind the Screen, we're sharing some of our moments during the post-session discussion.
Well, thank you all for being so up for describing. And one of the things I was more nervous for is that I have a bunch of things scene entry points written out, and I'm just I'm not doing it this time because I want you all to build that world. It's not just me just grabbing it, and you guys just knocked it out of the park. So thank you for that.
Oh, the blood.
That was fun.
I just imagined sinew and stuff just
framed.
dripping.
We're framed.
You know?
I saw it.
Yeah, there's no good blood.
Don't pick up your tomahawk. Your whalebone. Leave it there.
No, we have to take that with us. What are you talking about?
We gotta keep the murder weapon.
We can get rid of it, but we're not leaving something that was made from a whale, something or another, just in the body. They're gonna know it was
sometimes you gotta let it go. Let it go.
Gotta say,
don't hold it back anymore.
I was not expecting us to be in the better position by the end of the episode.
Your episode hasn't started yet. You might end up getting caught. You haven't actually gotten away, right?
Oh, I am aware. I still think we're in the better position.
We could all end up in jail together.
Bonus
jailbreak.
We know a back way.
Jailbreak.
Speaking of this is being recorded, Jen, Sage, do you have any questions at all, or can I ask you a question?
That they liked, didn't like. Well, of course. And you can ask questions to other people, and they can ask questions and whatever.
How did you feel when you realized who the bard was?
It took me a minute. Because you said star, and then, it didn't click when you said star. It was whenever you said the twin thing. When it clicked, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me again? At the start of the thing, because it was at the beginning of the Shattered God.
No, she didn't die. She's just sad because her sister died.
I know.
I gave her money and made her happy.
Tons of money.
At the light of my life.
How about this? How about early theories? Who's got them? Mo?
The fact that now we're both kind of, in predicaments where we're both... we're all kind of criminals of sorts. I mean, I don't see why Lev and Ballo would be. We're just kind of there.
Sure.
And we got bumped into, but,
Who the fuck are these guys?
It's going to be a really awkward second session for your team when you're like, I'm not
They're
with
over
them.
here. And then we just walk away.
You help them every
Yeah, that would suck. We're here for you. Yeah, I go.
I think there's obviously a connection there between the Queen and the Ogre. There's some untold drama that I don't know about. So I was trying to be very careful when... I believe there's plot connection there, so I didn't want to...
No, it's yours.
That's
why I've said it's we don't know what's happened. Nothing is sacred. Do with it what you want. I love the fact that she's feeling some drama. Does anyone have any early theories?
Oh, yeah, I totally think it's one of the players.
Yeah, that's also...
You're pulling tricks. There's definitely
something's going
behind the scenes discussions. Probably Metalwork.
I was going to say, I think it's Dipper. You were helping a person and their child to kill the Emperor.
Yes, the blood disappeared.
You did
I was
go
gone
and
for
accounted
5 minutes
for.
and usurped the chords. I don't know what they are, but
the stars
about
told
to
you
be
to
like-
do it.
So I think, because I have no idea why Mist would have gone into that room. So I think that Mist and M encountered a Thrinkai in the shadows, and it mind controlled them and made them go kill the Emperor. Maybe.
Don't put that on us.
And then we forgot. But all I have to do is look down at my.
No.
All I have to do is look down at my hands when we get back, and if you say they're bloody, because she is the weapon.
I'm just gonna bring up that the Ogre King was missing.
Throg was not there.
Art King, there.
The real question is, how did they get the hand axe?
Well, you guys were drinking.
Well, no one gave me a hug or nothing.
I think I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Oh!
I'm going to keep my mouth shut for now.
No, no, now you gotta say it. Tell us.
He's like, what if I'm
Okay,
wrong?
it's like this is the most likely suspect is that royal archmage. So number one, we were out on the balcony and he bumped into me. That's a perfect time to, pickpocket like a personal dagger or something. Could have done exactly the same thing to Geen. He was the one that led us into this room in the first place, and we just happened to be the three people who were most upset with the Emperor at that moment. Nah, come on. It's them.
He's also second in command.
Second in command, always.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
All right, so I always find myself wanting to get to know the cast members of shows like this. So I'm really glad that we decided to add that segment.
Me too. Not to mention the little discussions afterwards to see if any of the cast members had the same theories that I do.
Right, yeah, I get what you mean. But before we get caught up in our own theories, let's chat with the cast to ask them some questions.
Thank y'all so much for showing up. I know it was super short notice. Feel free to talk anytime you want.
Sorry.
So, Christy, you get our first question.
Oh, shit. Oh, excuse me. Shoot.
All right, so Christy.
Yo.
Raina started her morning doing a perimeter run during the first episode. Is that how she always starts all of her mornings?
I guess so, actually, being the type of person she is. Like, before she met her friends, in this case, Zero and Christian, going by different names, so I can't pull off the top of my head. She was pretty much just a watcher of people after, the incidents that drove her away from the kingdom. And yeah, so, she got used to kind of go up in high places and getting a good lay of the land. So I definitely say for sure, yes.
That's good. Whenever it's a lazy morning, like that morning, I'm sure they aren't always in traveling.
Yep.
Although,
goes up, has a coffee, keeps an eye out.
Now that I think about it, and Zero, you can tell me, because I'm pretty sure you kind of understand how Dipper works a little bit more than anybody else here, because y'all been talking about it for a while now. So I just mentioned how the early mornings might not be like forever, right? But considering Dipper probably stayed out late really every night, maybe it is a late morning every morning for y'all. Do y'all do the stay up super late and then sleep in thing? Is that y'all's normal?
I catnap a lot, which does help. And by that, I don't mean catnap in the traditional sense. I mean, I nap as a cat. It helps quite a bit. Dipper, on the other hand, I'm pretty sure is very functional on very little sleep, and I am consistently confused by this.
Maybe he only needs 2 hours of sleep, of meditation instead of 4. All right, so Hal. Halim made lots of slights towards nobles in general. Was it just his family that led to that disdain, or was it other things that happened in his younger years?
I think it was necessarily after he went to the garden, he was, refugee, I guess it would be, in the garden. He came back with a different outlook on life that he entered it. And then he realized where he had come from. Like, the only thing anybody ever cared about it is either being rich, which often led to cruelty and extortion, and anybody who wanted to, any of these other nobles that had interacted with his family were not their true selves, kiss their butts. And he's just like, why would they do that? But then, Hal connected the dots saying, oh, because they need something or they want something or they need to get advantage on something. So due to his belief now, from his time spent in the garden, his outlook is very different around where he had come from.
Okay.
It's so funny that you asked that, because I was also really curious. I was confused about Halim's relationship with the garden versus like his family it's Zaharath, right?
Correct.
So I was confused about all of that. I'm just curious, how old was Halim when he left Zaharath?
He was probably about 25. And now he's late 20s. Can't really tell, but he doesn't know, is he 3 or is he 28? I do have a question for Zira. Considering we're both druids from the garden, right? Perhaps, Halim was taken to the garden and where Zira and the rest of the group stayed and lived. Would they have known each other? And if so, did Dipper tell Halim to put whiskey on their head or grow whiskers on his head?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I've been talking with Ghost a little bit about it and trying to work out some of the geography of the garden. It's a little bit odd there. It's difficult to actually map things in a place where how you're feeling dictates where you go.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things which we talked about was the old watchspire of, I think it's Karvos, being kind of one of those points of entry into the garden. And instead of keeping it as being called the watchspire, it could be named for what it became, a beacon. So the town of Beacon is a place where a lot of people end up coming through when they're first coming in or leaving the garden, as far as we can tell. How much wandering have you done around the garden?
I was there for years under the, we'll call it, the guidance of a deity, demigod, whatever they want to call it in, Daggerheart terms. He spent a lot of time there, right? Learning what it meant to be in balance with nature and the physical realm, what it means to be a warden of renewal versus, somebody who his past would just, or his family would just take, upholding the balance between the natural life and the eventual future of what the world may hold. I think he spent a lot of time not necessarily knowing where he was going, but learning as much as he could.
Ooh, this is going to be interesting, because I think for Meadowlark, a druid is just something that they were. So it's going to be kind of fun having that juxtaposition of learned experience and, well, I was born and the elements just kind of dance for me.
Yeah.
Aww. I'm sorry. That was cute.
But I think it's very, very possible then that our wanders would have bounced off each other a few times, especially if you were seeking out areas where nature was at its most inspiring and at its most educational. And I feel like there could have well been a miscommunication filtered across. Putting whiskey on your head to get whiskers does sound like something which Dipper would have come up with as a guidance from the stars.
Yeah. All right, back to Reyna. Are you ready, Christy?
Yo.
All right, so you had mentioned trying to teach Meadowlark and Dipper the concept of money. And I was curious if there are other things that you envision Reyna trying to teach them about, like, living in a more established or civilized area.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the two, Zero, you probably agree with this, have very energetic and flamboyant personalities. So she's probably, she's been living kind of as a bounty hunter / nomad for a little while, and then So she has a wide idea of the outside world and how easily people can stand out, where she's constantly viewing people from afar, and she sees these two as just fireworks going off constantly 24/7, like drawing attention at all angles. So probably their presence, she probably tries to remind them of their presence around people, how they both lack stealth. So not that they can't be stealthy or anything, but the two of them very much live their lives unapologetically. So, which is a good thing.
All right, so Zira.
Hello.
This one is from a fellow player. Why did Meadowlark have to come out of the window where they were just perching? Rena was just perching, all, focused. Why'd you have to scare her like that?
Yeah, I was supposed to be your escape plan, man. Well, in essence, though, that was kind of Ghost's fault.
Yeah, it was. It was Ghost's fault.
He placed me there.
You did.
We've been over escape plans. We escape and then we plan.
Oh, that makes sense. Now I get it.
Yeah, you had mentioned the line you said whenever you got back to the group. I can't remember. Well, no, it wasn't you. It was Dipper. No, I don't know. It was one of y'all. I didn't get to rewatch that part.
Have we? Is it the one about? Are we helping people so much that other people get angry again?
Yes.
That was fantastic. That was Dipper.
I love how you basically said, if I do this for you, you need to teach me all the things I want to know about cartography. What led to Meadowlark's love of cartography?
Cartography is a very different art in the garden. I think I will keep on talking about this one, but as we have described it, paths are very different there. The way you get from A to B is more to ask your feet to take you there than to pick out a specific road and just walk. And once they got out of the garden and found this vast expanse of space which was non-malleable, they started getting interested. And then when they could sniff out the patterns in the landscape, the way magic flows and the way magic pools and creates eddies and whirls, they got more interested. And being able to know where you are at any one given time is an idea which is fascinating to them. That's not often possible. They truly are, to a certain extent, the epitome of, I'm not lost, everything else is. But that is how it is in the garden.
I really like that. Okay, I have one more question, and it is for Halim. Well, it's for Ricardo, but it's about Halim. Does Halim really only shower when it rains? Because this is going to be an issue for, Lake Mist.
What is the point of, going in these extravagant bathing houses with all this perfume and stuff that really isn't natural than it is to cross a medium flowing stream, brook, or river and just get clean that way? Or it rains, but he definitely, his clothes are off-white and stained and dirty, and he doesn't wear any shoes and he just has sandals. He very much is a person of the land and of nature. And he's like, I can't get clean for real unless it really rains on me, or if there's, a nice river to cross.
Sage, did you have any other questions?
Do you guys have any theories yet on who killed the Emperor and why?
I think the interesting thing about it is that there's a lot of things which are pointing towards sorry, he's not going to try and eat my mic.
Okay.
There's a lot of things pointing towards a lot of the upper echelon of Scaranthal, like the Archmage and his little faction. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it really doesn't make sense for them not to want an accord, because they have a bunch of... They are getting a lot of what they want in that, and that is specifically what they were steering the Emperor towards wanting too. So I actually am not sure it was anyone from Scaranthal. At least not the people we've met so far. And
yeah, you could see how it could be, but also couldn't be. You're like, wait.
Something tells me Group 2 is completely not involved. Yeah.
Oh.
Like, we're the ones that are receiving, the, not scroll, but what is it called? The
Accords.
Something. Yeah.
The scroll.
So it's landing into our laps unexpectedly. So that would be the thing. I think that would absolve everybody in Group 2, but I'm not entirely sure.
That's optimistic.
It's definitely the prince or the pirate. One of those guys.
What?
They just
no.
hang a hat in the back. Material evidence.
If
Possibly
anything,
the
he
pirate.
knows it wasn't. He was with them the whole time.
Well, the pirate has a crew. He's got a underground network. There's stuff him and I have collaborated on a few things. So, there's some areas there where he has resources, but probably not as maybe the prince. But the prince is trying to prove a lot, and he has everything that I think to gain from having a new accord. So, with him recognized as leader, but who knows? I could be completely wrong. As far as I know, I'm not involved.
That's exactly how Helene feels.
Yeah.
It's not me, so it's got to be one of them.
But
it has to be the prince or the pirate.
Probably.
No idea who those guys are.
You're not even going to think it's like the blue tiefling or not tiefling. Inferblin is what I call her because she's a goblin and an infernus. So she's an Inferblin.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I would think that you would want to suspect the two people that were in the room with the body and not the two people you walked in there with.
In a way, I'm wondering too about both of you, but because of breaking the fourth wall, you guys are connected to Ghost in this case. You have a little bit of behind the scenes stuff going on. So it, to me, like I said, breaking the fourth wall, he could have assigned one of you that task and you're keeping it secret. But that is not something that Reyna would come up with. That's something that Christy here would come up with. So that I'm trying to leave that off the table. There's no way Reyna could make that connection.
To be fair, we all have connection. We all have things going on behind the scenes with Ghost.
I think that it is someone that has not been revealed at all yet in any form. Thank y'all so much for
it's been a pleasure
joining.
Now, those interviews can be pretty entertaining. This is actually a great time to mention that you can actually ask the cast your own questions that you might have for them. We are working on getting a forum set up, but for now, you can just put your questions in the comments of this video.
Yep, that way you can ask the cast any questions about why their character made a certain decision or reacted in a certain way to something that happened. You can even ask more specific questions about their theories.
Speaking of theories, it's important to make sure they are rooted in the lore of the world. So let's head over to the archive to take a look at a couple of key pieces of Arendor lore here. In previous episodes of Tabling the Narrative, we've talked a little bit about the Pact of Arendor and the scroll itself, but we thought we would consolidate all of this information in one little section so you know exactly where we stand going into episode 2 of Oathfyre. So the Pact is actually a scroll called the Scroll of Kaldrathar, which contains the magic that once bound together Arendor's kingdoms. This pact was broken during the Shattering. Now, since the breaking of this pact, since the Shattering in the past 20 years, the kingdoms have continued their conflict with each other. They've continued with their divide, some encroaching on others' lands, expanding into other territory, arguing over ideals, issues with trade, and everything above that you can think of. These kingdoms are entirely divided after this pact is broken. They're kind of at each other's throats in a lot of different ways. Now,
I was going to say real quick, sorry, I know I'm cutting in here, okay?
No, please.
So, you know how at the beginning of the Shattered God, one of the reasons why I think the kingdoms are at war, kind of a little bit low key, is all of their leaders were killed, right? Like all of the ones that were representing the peace and representing their, kingdoms or lands, what have you, right? They were all killed, in the shattering. So it's obviously this scroll, this pact is very powerful because it helped keep the peace. Like actually there was magic binding it, right? Binding that peace. But at the same time, when you lose the thing that is keeping other people in check and everyone loses their leadership that wants peace, I mean, that's just a big upheaval, literally in every kingdom, not just one, all of them.
So speaking of this pact being broken and the falling of Lunastra in the Shattered God during the shattering, we have one of our NPCs from the Shattered God coming back. I actually played Lily Greenwhistle. After the shattering and the Shattered War, Lily and the leadership behind Veltheros did some digging into Lunastra, the very ruins of Lunastra, and actually found the original scroll of Kaldrathar, the original pact scroll that had since been broken. And Lily is the person who actually brought this scroll of Kaldrathar to the Accords in the hopes of forming a new pact with all of the kingdoms. Lily is also someone who actually witnessed the scroll itself being secured in a vault behind archmages and mages' wards, and was pretty confident it was safe where it was.
Yeah, of course. Now we know that there was a certain, mage that had a little bit of illusory magic mastery, and it wasn't actually the scroll.
Yeah, so I think you bring up some really good points. I honestly, by the end of episode 1, with the scroll of Kaldrathar stolen, the whole entire purpose of the Accords and reuniting the kingdoms is, I imagine, in shambles. I can see all of these different kingdoms representatives accusing other people, maybe trying to help, maybe trying not to be accused themselves. So I'm imagining we kind of left things off in chaos within the actual Imperium.
Classic ghost move.
Yeah, ghost. All right, I think that ends off our archive segment. I do love delving into the lore of a world. Ghost does an amazing job and puts a lot of effort into it.
I agree completely. Let's actually go under the table to talk to our GM Ghost to ask some questions about our first session of Oathfyre.
Hey there.
Okay. Hi, welcome in, Ghost.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
I should really start calling you by your name.
I feel like it's too late now.
It's fine. It's whatever.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and go through some questions from the cast. Why did you have the Emperor accuse Geen first?
Probably because of how everything went down. First off, like the Varkos Isles are like an area that's known to be just like ripe with piracy. We haven't talked about it too much, but it was way back in the Silent Tide that we kind of established that was this sort of like lawless region that was constantly in conflict between Corvallis and Drakarn, just because it was like that middle territory. So for a pirate king essentially to show up and say, I am the representative, I am the head pirate, essentially. I think for the Emperor Cassian to put that together, to automatically just jump to, hey, the pirate must have done it. Also, like, the pirate shows up immediately, the scroll goes missing. So I think there's probably just that circumstantial evidence there that kind of felt like that was the easy assumption to make.
It'll be obvious where this one came from But someone wants to know, will Star return?
Who's to say? Yeah,
Yeah.
I think having the idea of Star being in Scarenthal at that moment gives us the opportunity to bring her back at some point. Also opens the door for a guest spot from Bug if she wants. But if not, if they just happen to go back or they seek Star out, yeah, Star could definitely return. Nothing's off the table.
Okay.
All right, Sage, what do you got?
Okay, so in the scene where Kale comes into the office and Kale is like shoving the scroll into Meadowlake's arms, Kale mentions someone named Benjen. Can you explain to me who Benjen is? Because I need to know.
Yeah, so when we did our session 0, we had another player. That player left us, but they created a character named Benjen. And in the first draft of this, so Benjen was like this kind of sort of lucky, unlucky character. He was identified as being like this master thief, but really it was just like a system of circumstance always made him appear to be like he was a master thief. He wasn't actually that way. So in the first iteration of this, Benjen was supposed to end up with the scroll. Not as like I don't just based on the way that that player left, I don't anticipate like cameo or anything. I think it was more just an Easter egg more than anything else.
Yeah. Well, now we've found the Easter egg. I feel happy about that. I also have just kind of like a random question. In this very beginning scene, we have Mist and M going into this Temple of Xerix that's been run over by the Idolnare. So my question was, if there's an explanation for how the Idolnare overran the temple in the first place.
The Idolnare people, as a group, are sort of a widely accepted group from a very traditional stance. So I think that, the idea that it's a rundown temple, like that, they didn't overrun the temple. Like the temple was in ruin, and then they approached the governance of Scarenthal and asked for some sort of a building that they could reside in. And that's what they were given. They don't have the money to buy something nicer. So, if they're looking for charity, the government gave them this really old temple in the oldest section. But a lot of those, or most of those Xerix emblems were torn off either by intention or age, I think was the one.
I'm just imagining someone in the shadows watching Mist and M enter this temple and because it's clearly identified with the Idolnare and literally has that governmental connection. So anyway, I feel like that left me with questions that I was not expecting to have.
Yeah. And, I view them as like people that are almost like their acceptance is built on superstition. Maybe people don't take them that seriously for what they're, like we know what their overall goal is, but like generally speaking, the people are respectful to the tradition of it, but probably don't put a lot of stock into why they're there.
I appreciate you answering that question. I appreciate you answering the more serious questions I have. I have a couple of just fun questions for you.
Sure.
So did you have a favorite NPC that you role played in episode 1?
Yeah, I liked the bartender. I think he was fun. I don't know, I really enjoyed playing the Emperor too. Like he's fiery, I feel like he has a lot to prove, like he's definitely trying to build on what his father kind of started, but he's still such an outlier from tradition for the Drakarn. He's still very, very liberal as far as the Drakarn are concerned. Because like I mentioned it before, I think in our last interview that, they're very traditional people, conservative people. They view themselves, they usually isolate themselves, and that's starting to kind of break away. So the ideas of this emperor are maybe not necessarily popular ones, or they weren't popular ones, I guess is probably the way to say that. He's dead.
Well, I did enjoy that description, though. I was like, okay, I mean, you asked, so.
I love it, and that's what we're looking for, right? Like, this world is yours to build. If I give you an opportunity or a prompt, just go wild. If it's too off the cuff, I'll make adjustments, but
yeah. Yeah, so I did enjoy the Emperor a lot too. I liked because it really seemed like he was coming from a direction of just being genuine. It came off that way for sure, about wanting to kind of renew this council and reunite the kingdoms, which brings me actually to another question I had, which was, did you have any favorites, like kingdoms or representatives that you played or that other people played?
Yeah, no, I thought that everyone did an outstanding job. I just loved watching y'all like dive into those roles and come up with things. And you all were so like right there with one another. Like, I think one of the things Lily had said, like, where were you during the shattering?
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know that I had a favorite. There's definitely favorite moments. You know, like, big shout out to Mo for his like moment of levity in the middle of it all. Like,
yes.
all these heavy dramatic scenes, and he's like, you know, that was a good one. I love that one moment from Lily when she was like, you know, where were you? I think that, especially at that moment, that was really well timed. I loved how fiery Aaron got with his portrayal of Sharon when he learned that he wasn't going to be supporting his claim. God, I don't know. There's so many moments that were just outstanding. We'll see.
I'm so excited. I was talking with a couple of the members of our cast, and all of us were just like, you did a phenomenal job. It went really well. Just a lot of excitement for group dynamics and things like that. So everyone I talked to was super hyped about it.
Nice. Good. Makes me feel good.
Yeah.
You know, you worry about those big ensemble, sessions, and taking that and going into these sort of, we're set up, right? Like, people are in their teams, we're there, and now we can really start to kind of dive into the characters and dive into the conflict. So I'm looking forward to it.
Did it go as you expected? Like, was it kind of like on par with how you were expecting it to go, or not?
I don't know that I really expected anything in particular. Like, I had goals that I wanted to achieve, and like anything else is just like collecting data, you know, like you all, like any other session we have, as you talk, as you interact with one another, we're building lore, right? Like, now we know that Queen Navira maybe isn't super happy in her marriage to Throg, and now we can build on that, right? Like, now we know about territory disputes between Valtheros and Alvathara and Corvallis. Like, there's all this stuff that we can pull just based on those conversations. So only thing I wanted to do was like not impede you all at all. I told each and every one of you, like, hey, this is what we know of them. Do whatever you want. Like, have fun, be who you want to be. And like, let's find out who these characters are 20 years later. And I think that's ultimately, and you know, I can't remember, somebody suggested it 20 years later, and it was like such a brilliant idea. Cause I'm like, oh, there's so much that we can build off of. There's just enough space where these characters can be whoever they need to be. And then the characters that we're bringing back, so much has changed that there's like interesting story to be told. So love it.
Next time on Tabling the Narrative, we'll review how both parties of Oathfyre come together as a team, and we will also discuss the newest developments in Oathfyre as the story continues.
Thank you so much for joining us this week, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.